Welcome to Tuck the Octopus. For those of you who don't know about Tuck the Octopus, running a business is like trying to tuck an octopus into bed, and the tentacles keep flopping all over the place. So, here at a better vantage point, I like to tell you about things to consider for your business for risk mitigation reasons to make sure that you are being proactive and conservative in running your business. So it was very interesting. Today's broadcast is going to be relatively short compared to what I usually do. I have a very targeted and specific topic I wanted to talk about. So yesterday, Cox Automotive came out and talked about the top 10 factors that dealers are worried about. And I want to read them to you, and then we're going to hone in on one of them. Overall ranking, number one, interest rates. Number two is the economy. Number three, market conditions. Number four, political climate. Number five, expenses. And then it goes credit availability for customers, limited inventory, consumer confidence, weather, and competition. So what was particularly interesting to me on this list was the political climate. And I want to talk a little bit about what's happening specifically with the cars legislation. My phone's been ringing a lot. People want to know what's happening with that. And so here is the status of the cars regulation. And then I want to talk about the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. So right now, back in January, what had happened was that the FTC came out and said that the cars regulation, and cars is combating automotive retail scams, for those that who don't know about that. The cars regulation was originally scheduled to start on July 30th of this year. The NADA and the TADA filed a lawsuit in Texas to get rid of the cars regulation. And then the FTC came out and stayed the enforcement of the regulation until after the court case. The court case is still pending. I'll give you a prediction here probably at the end about what I think will happen with that court case. But the important part is the FTC is very, very active. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal, and now I'm talking about how the political climate could affect your dealership or your business. There was an article on March 25th in the Wall Street Journal called "Biden's Trustbuster Draws Unlikely Fans, Khanservative Republicans." And they're talking about Lina Khan, Khan. And Lina Khan is the head of the Federal Trade Commission. She's 35 years old and very aggressive. And based on her stance at trying to go after big business and make sure that the playing field is level and equal, there are a lot of Republicans who are aligning with her. Now, for purposes of this, I am politically agnostic. I'm here to report what the news is. My personal opinion about politics makes no difference whatsoever. So I want you to understand that this is important for running your dealership because there's been a seismic shift based on this article, which I was unaware of until I read this article. What's important here is that in 2022, 39 Republicans voted for a bill that increased fees on corporations in order to provide more resources to the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice's antitrust division. In previous years, Republicans had been against enforcement of laws and enforcement of antitrust. And now that is changing based on the Khan, Khanservatives is what they're being called. And according to the Wall Street Journal, they tend to be younger and Trumpier than previous Republicans. So according to this article, and again, I think it's important to understand, Khan is tapping into a generational shift in attitude toward corporations and markets. More Republicans are bucking their long alliance with big business and accusing corporations of hurting workers, stifling free speech, and imposing a liberal agenda on employees and consumers. Their beefs with big business are different from liberals' focus on workers' rights and corporate greed, but on policy, the two sides sometimes end up in the same place. So why is this important for you and how to run your dealership? So if the Republicans and the Democrats, in this rare show of bipartisan alignment, if they are aligning behind the FTC, I think that gives the FTC more power. And in giving the FTC more power, the FTC is going to try to flex its muscles more and provide more regulation. So I said a few minutes ago that I would give you my prediction on what's going to happen with the CARS legislation after it goes through court. One of two things will happen. Either the NADA and the FTC will negotiate a settlement and something that the NADA feels that they can live with. And I do not have any inside information at the NADA. This is simply my prognostication as to what's going to happen. Or I think ultimately the courts will determine that the FTC does have the right to regulate dealers. So the FTC goes back to, I believe it's 1918, and the FTC's purpose is to regulate interstate commerce. And I don't see the FTC in whole just saying no to the lawsuit and throwing the whole thing out. They may make some modifications. They may agree with the NADA on certain parts that are burdensome, and there are tremendous parts that are burdensome. The requirement that you keep all your training materials and your advertising. I mean, there's some burdensome stuff there. But I think ultimately the CARS legislation will be enforced, and I think it will be enforced probably by the end of 2025. So next year, that is my best guess. I don't know, of course. But it's important to consider because it will be a seismic shift in how you advertise, because part of the CARS legislation is that if you're charging any processing fee or dock fees, that number is added into whatever the advertised price is. So in my opinion, there won't be any MSRP advertising anymore, because if you advertise a vehicle for MSRP, that would have to include that dock fee or processing fee. So unless we're in a very competitive inventory environment, I don't see that happening. So I don't think there'll be any MSRP advertising. I think it will simply be, ABC Motors price, and that'll include the processing fee. So if you are interested in reading this article, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll send it to you. I'm happy to discuss it. Always feel free to reach out on social media. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, and you can go to my website, bettervantagepoint.com or tucktheoctopus.com. Either one will get you to me, or my phone number, 757-434-7656, or my email address, Tom K, as in Tom Kline, Tom K at bettervantagepoint.com. Thanks for watching. Please call me if you want to chat about this or are interested in any more conversation. And I'm Tom Kline, and thanks for seeing things from a better vantage point. Have a super